Hi, this is TapCat, and today I want to help you take down some landed UFO missions. Now, we're going to obviously have to do this from a somewhat high-level strategic perspective. We can't talk through every permutation of everything that could ever happen on one. Let's start by talking about the basic structure for these missions. Now, when you land on the map, there will not be any kind of mission timer. No turn limit or anything like that. You will move forward toward the UFO and you'll find that there are patrols outside. Now there can be, a decent number of them, maybe 3, 4, depending on the mission. And as you move forward and you have your first encounter, you will then trigger a timer. So you get a set number of turns to get inside the UFO and disable a beacon.
Menace 1-5, we just picked up an outbound signal coming from the UFO. It's some kind of distress beacon. You need to get inside that ship and shut down the signal before they send their whole fleet after us.
If you fail to do that, a group of reinforcements will be summoned. Now, there's essentially two ways you can go here. The game has trained us to take these timers very seriously. There are categories like VIP missions where you can just lose your entire squad if you don't move forward quickly enough and make it to the extraction point. And even in the best case, when you don't meet the timer, you'll fail the entire mission. But realize the stakes are very different here. It's not a question of succeeding or failing. You're simply trying to avoid one group of reinforcements. Now, one thing you need to keep in mind is that if you push forward as fast as you can once this timer starts, and you go inside the UFO, there are two things that are likely to happen. Actually, one is almost guaranteed to happen, and that is there will be a group inside the UFO, not too far from the beacon. So you're going to activate an alien pod most of the time you deactivate. So that can be a very risky proposition, especially if time is short and you had to dash to move inside. Worse, if you haven't made sure that you've cleared all of the patrols outside, it is entirely possible that while you're engaged with that group inside, a patrol will come by outside and catch you essentially between hammer and anvil. I would also point out that if the mission includes something like a gatekeeper, that's significantly more powerful than the other aliens, you can pretty much rely on him being part of that pod that's sitting next to the beacon. So this really helps amp up your risk factor. So what I recommend is actually most of the time, don't worry too much about this timer. What you need to do is move forward methodically and kill the patrols as you come across them. Be careful about moving in too close to the groups too aggressively if it's a situation where you're going to be opening up new territory. Like new areas to line of sight, because it's very easy to activate a second patrol. Now, if you've already taken out, say, 3 and you find, another one, that's probably going to be the last one. But especially the earlier in the mission you are, I would suggest being very careful about how you try to get your flanking shots on a UFO mission. So if you can, just try to secure the perimeter of the UFO and clean that out. Once you've done that, then by all means, you're going to need to go into the UFO and engage that final group. But now you can do it a little bit more safely. And by the way, if that happens after the reinforcements come, when the timer runs out, so be it. Because as long as, again, you've done a good job of kind of securing that outer area, so you just take on another group. You get a whole turn warning. The flare will mark where they're going to come in. Now, sometimes it does get a little bit awkward because the flare can kind of go on the opposite end of the ship from where you are. And if that happens, that happens. It's one reason I will make some effort to deactivate the beacon. I just won't sell my soul to do it and take a lot of crazy risks. Now, one other point I want to make before we go, and that is another disadvantage of moving inside, is that I generally find defending myself inside the ship to be highly problematic. What happens is, even when you have full cover, most of it seems to be very destructible. So when a muton or something else fires at you, they start breaking it up. Also, what happens is it tends to be a situation where you can be approached from multiple angles, and it isn't that difficult to get flanked. And by the way, that includes a hole in the roof, and there are enemies like mechs that will take advantage of that. So I have even just sent one soldier inside of the ship and tried to pull the rest, the aliens out with him. Now, I've had mixed results with that. I'm not saying that's necessarily the best way to do it. It's just one more thing you can consider. All right, I think that'll at least give you some food for thought to go on with. Good luck to you in taking control of these disabled UFOs. If you found this video helpful, I hope you'll consider giving it a like and or share. It'll help others find it as well. Also, if you want more XCOM 2 content, by all means, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. I hope we see you next time.